Less Than 2000.
The podcast. Say something to me real quick.
And hold you in the palm of his hand. That pause.
Yeah, there's that pause that just...
Of his hand. Such a great... What a great church song.
Yeah. So has anyone called you an ass today?
Not today. I've been extremely nice since my last review, but get this.
You're really turning things around this week.
I'm turning things around. All I needed was feedback. Negative feedback. I really respond to that. But get this. So that night I went to my girlfriend's house and I told her about my day. And then I also said, hey, we're doing this podcast called Less Than 2000 about the 80s and 90s. And I explained about the shows we were doing and all that. You know what she said?
What?
I would never listen to that podcast. Isn't that great? I'm having this terrible day, got chewed out at work. I'm excited about something. And she's just like, yeah, I would never listen to that podcast. So what are we going to talk about today?
I want to talk about Adam Sandler.
No!
I'm totally thrown off by that right now.
We're going to talk about Adam Sandler's comedy albums.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to talk about Adam Sandler.
No!
The musician.
They're all going to laugh at you.
Where do we begin? It's 1993. We were 13 years old.
I was 12. Because I'm
right.
so much younger than you.
I always forget how behind you are from me.
Yes,
And, you know, everybody started talking about it at school. I mean, you know, the sort of orangish, you know, album with his face on it. And I think back then there was a little tiny independent music store called Pickles.
Correct.
And I think it was Christmas time. And I went in with a gigantic, you know, being in the Midwest, huge coat. Because I learned a long time ago that your parents were less likely to see weird shit bulging out of your pockets in the winter.
Was it one of those big starter jackets? One of those big 90s puffy
the
starter jackets?
Oh,
yes.
I mean, just puffy. I mean, I was twice the size at that age. And I remember they were like, sure, you can go to Pickles. We'll pick you up in like 10 minutes. And I literally bought the album and like hid it down my pants / the coat.
Right. And why was that? Because it had the coveted, that ever so sexy parental advisory explicit lyrics.
And you just knew it was going to be good.
Yes, that for I don't think they do that anymore. For those of you not in the know, for all the kids out there.
No, they still do it.
Oh yeah, the parental advisory. So they still sell CDs with a sticker on it?
Oh no, it's on the digital. No, nobody buys CDs. Okay. No, it's on the digital. Like if you look up the art, it has an E for explicit in the title, and then it also has it on the image
with the black and white bars still.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow, because that was really cool. That's when you knew something was good.
Yeah, it's way cooler than just like, oh, it has the E next to it.
So you went to Pickles because they would sell it to you even though you were a minor without a parent?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. They didn't care.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a sale.
All right. Yeah, it's a sale. And they were all like 2 years older than us.
Yeah, there was no like law about it or anything.
Yeah.
There was no like, you can't sell this to people under 16 or 18 or 17
Quite
or whatever.
possibly that same time, I think I might have also got the VHS tape for Aliens 3. It might have been around that same time. Anyway, so I get home, I put the CD in, and assistant principal's big day is the first thing that comes up. And I was f***ing rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing not funny on this album.
Well, you know, just for some context, it was really kind of one of a kind. It was not something that existed in the early 90s much at all, or really before that. Before that, there was a couple, plenty of stand-up comedy albums. Bill Cosby and Steve Martin and all that. They all had their comedy stand-up stuff. But as far as sketch comedy on a CD, that was kind of new. I mean, and hadn't really been done since Bob Newhart, Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks, Monty Python, and then the biggest one example of that would probably be Cheech and Chong with their little skits before they became movie stars, like Dave, Dave's not here, man. And so that was a rare thing. It hadn't been done in about 20 years or so.
Yeah. I mean, and so for us, that was a lot newer. And especially because this stuff was we were basically that age. I mean, we were the target demo.
We were the target
time.
demo, and it's hard to understate how popular and awesome SNL was at the time.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live in that late 80s, early 90s run was just phenomenal with that tremendous cast, and Adam Sandler was a standout.
Oh, absolutely. No, that whole Adam Sandler, David Spade, Chris Farley. I mean, that little world was the second best at that time. The second best group of performers that had ever been on that show. I mean, you had the original cast, and then it was these guys. They were amazing. Mike Myers, all of these people that did so incredible. And now Adam Sandler was giving us the longest pee, and it was funny because he literally just peed for like 2 minutes.
Out in a second. And just
the
kept
pounding.
going and going and
Hey,
going. Yeah.
I need to get in there.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't they come back to that later in the album? There was another track later where he was still going, and it was pretty crazy. You know, that first track, the buffoon and the dean. Conan O'Brien is the dean, and it's just weird. Like Adam Sandler, it, man, and that was it. That was the whole sketch. And that buffoon character was in like what 3, 4, 5 tracks throughout the whole album.
Yeah, that was one of the reoccurring characters that would just keep coming through because he was in the principal's big day. He was in the first one,
right?
You know, so the principal's trying to talk nice to him. He's like, "Holy shit!"
And you know, there's all these other like throwaway tracks, like the beating of a high school janitor, beating of the high school biology teacher.
Throwaway. I was sitting in class at 13 years old going, I'm picturing doing that right now to my math teacher.
Exactly. And so what you're pointing out there is the fact that it was awesome when we were 12 and 13. Going back and listening to it as an adult, it's almost unlistenable. It's really hard to get through.
Bad.
It's
bad.
I'm like, I can't believe this thing actually got off the ground. I mean, I can't believe this was greenlit by anybody because it is so bad. The buffoon stuff, the beating stuff is just unlistenable as an adult.
But see, now this is where you kind of have that conversation with yourself. Like, okay, you know, future Chad, like you're a little more sophisticated now, kind of. You're not kind of you're not listening to Lunch Ladyland. I mean, you know, like back then it was like, yes, this is amazing.
Well, to your earlier point, we were the target demo. I mean, that stuff appealed directly to preteen boys and young teenage boys. All the tracks were like beating of a high school janitor and stuff. I mean, it's all really targeted for young boys with too much angst and violence and sexual depravity. Yeah, there's a couple gems in there. I will say Right Field is a legitimately funny one. I when listening to it again to prepare for this, I was like, I don't think I can get through all this. And then I finally got to Right Field and I laughed my balls off. It's hilarious.
Were you okay? You played ball, right?
Yeah.
So like, which kid were you?
I played right field. I was that kid. I didn't want the ball hit to me.
No.
And when it was hit to me, I totally screwed it up every single time.
I remember I did catch the ball one time. It was a grounder. I remember I caught it and I threw it back and I was proud of myself. And then my dad comes up and goes, I saw you picking the weeds out there, son. And I was like, no, Dad, I was in the game.
So your dad basically said, way to kick it in, Pele.
Oh, yeah.
Pele, good one, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get it back. a big lefty. A big lefty.
No,
Why is he pointing at me?
No.
So it's hilarious. I definitely related to that one. That was a good one. I'm So Wasted is pretty funny too, but I mean, you know, it had the actual songs on it, you know, talking about Adam Sandler, the musician, the Thanksgiving song, and a medium pace. And I
wonder how many people actually remember At a Medium Pace. Because it was, I mean, there was nothing I had heard at 13.
No.
And listen, I mean, we would already listen to, you know, Digital Underground Sex Packets. We had already listened
14 Shots to the Dome.
Yes. You know, we'd listened to NWA. You know, a lot of the people in our class had older brothers. You know, we were the oldest. So they had given us some music to listen to. But I'm telling you, nothing I listened to was as dirty as At a Medium Pace.
It's you know, going back and listening to it, it's pretty hilarious too. It's just kind of lovingly sung, and then suddenly it goes into some really dark places. Check it out. That's one's worth listening
so you
to.
like it more. You like it just as much now. Now that you get it, you're like, oh, I kind of like this.
Yeah, I mean, it was so weird when you're like, what is this? Put a shampoo bottle up my you-know-where. It was and spit on my face and all this stuff. Is just really dark and weird. Now, as an adult, having done that many times, I definitely relate to it. And, of course, Toll Booth Willie. I mean, that one...
Well, yeah, I mean, Toll Booth Willie was just classic.
It was just one driver after another going through the toll booth and telling off Toll Booth Willie, calling him an idiot or whatever, insulting him. And then Adam Sandler freaking out. It was hilarious and just swearing at the top of his lungs.
Hey, fuck you uppity Yeah, I mean, it was just hilarious.
So have we covered that one enough? Do we want to move on to the next one? We got more to talk about with...
There's a next one?
Oh my God. Yes, believe it or not. What the Hell Happened to Me? 1996. This would have come after he left SNL. He left SNL in 95 when they fired everybody, all the great cast members, because the ratings went down slightly. So NBC just jettisoned everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And they kept Tim Meadows and Norm Macdonald, and that was it. And, well, by that time, all those other guys were becoming movie stars. Mike Myers and Chris Farley, Adam Sandler started making movies, but he put out another comedy album with the Chanukah Song being the big one.
Yeah, I mean, What the Hell Happened to Me? It wasn't bad. It wasn't nearly as iconic as They're All Gonna Laugh at You. You weren't going through track by track going, this is amazing.
The other one was amazing. Like the other one was, oh 13, my God.
Yes, it was. You know it. You listened to every track. We didn't even get to Fatty McGee. You could never pull that off today. But like every track at 13 was amazing. It only became very unamazing.
So you're saying in those 3 years when you became a 16-year-old and I was a young ripe 15.
Yeah.
You had grown so much that it was no longer as funny.
Correct. It was like, I'm dating now. Well, I don't need to listen to, Ode to My Car.
Oh, I see. Were you getting the at a medium pace treatment from your girlfriend at the time?
A gentleman never tells.
Okay. So I got some stats for you on What the Hell Happened to Me, which you say was not that great. Okay. It spent 57 weeks on the Billboard Top 200.
Bullshit.
57 weeks, over a year in the Top 200. It sold over 2 million copies, and that made it the highest charting, highest best-selling comedy album of all time. Wrap your head around that.
This has got to be fake. Are you getting this from Wikipedia?
I'm getting it from Wikipedia, just like everywhere else. I mean, just like all my other research.
That can't be. Are you serious?
The highest chart. But I mean, what would have come bigger than that? I mean, like a regular stand-up comedy, Eddie Murphy Raw or something.
Yeah, anything. I guess although I will say this, the timing of this was very right for Adam Sandler. Somebody today, couldn't pull this off. Our generation, the movies that were coming out, the SNL stuff, everything was this sort of like, I'm going to speak my mind, my parents, it's okay to be a dork, everybody wants to get girls, even if they can't, even if they feel insecure. And suddenly it went from every man on camera being powerful to being vulnerable. And in doing so, I think that paved the way for somebody to come out and literally put out world's longest pee, and everybody's going to go, finally, something I can relate to.
Very insightful.
And I don't know. I think you couldn't do this today.
No, you absolutely couldn't. There's no way that this would get greenlit today. I mean, there's just throwaway tracks like The Adventures of Cow. I mean, that was what the hell was that? Memory Lane was just horrible. There were a couple. I just going back and listening to this is so hard to get through. I can't believe how stupid it was. I mean, it was made again for preteen boys. As we became like full-blown teenagers, getting into our mid to late teens, I
couldn't relate.
Already couldn't relate. I mean, I really think that this album sold as well as it did because of the Chanukah Song. I mean, that's what this was. It was the Chanukah Song and a bunch of filler crap to release, so it wasn't a single, basically.
Otherwise, it would have just been the single, and that's it. I don't know. Sex or weightlifting. That would have been kind of. That was kind of fun.
Two people having sex or working out. But the thing is, Adam Sandler has done the same character for his whole career. I mean, it's the same kind of weird off,
all the way up until Uncut Gems.
Well, I believe that's post 2000, so I don't acknowledge it.
Oh, I take it you didn't see it.
Oh, of course not.
Okay.
I have, but this did come out at the perfect time for him in his career. Billy Madison 94, and then Happy Gilmore 96, and this released that same year. And the Chanukah Song, debuted on SNL, and then he turned it into a single, and made a whole album, so he didn't have to sell it as a single. And now, selling 2 million records at $15 a pop is a lot better than selling 2 million singles at $2.99 for a single.
Yeah. Well, and now you don't even sell albums.
No, what's an album?
Yeah,
he would
be just getting a penny a stream at this point.
I got to talk about The Hypnotist. That one was the worst piece of shit I've ever heard. It is.
Why did you hate it?
It's Adam Sandler goes to the hypnotist to stop smoking. It's Kevin Nealon, who's got the perfect voice for that type of thing. And he's like, you're going to relax, and you're going to I'm going to count down from 3, 2, and I'm telling you, it's a 10-minute fart joke. The whole track is like almost 11 minutes long, and it's nothing but the same fart joke over and over and over again. I was 3 minutes into it when I checked the time. I'm like, surely this is almost over. No, I've got another 8 minutes to go. I couldn't believe that they milked that one joke, and it's just varying degrees of Hershey squirts, and no, I think that one was you.
What I can't believe even more is that, because that's all I remembered, he had not one, but he had 2 more follow-ups. He released 2 more.
Yeah.
He released another album in 2004, a comedy album. 11 years later, I listened to the first track. It's the same Adam Sandler voice.
The same.
There was nothing different.
He did put out 2 others in the 90s, and one of them was a complete bunch of songs. No skits. And that's just it. These are all skits. They're not sketches. The way a sketch is a fully formed idea with like an arc, a beginning, a middle, end, and characters kind of overcome obstacles, and there's these are skits. These are one-note jokes, and that's it. So
what? I'm now that we've been talking about Adam Sandler, though, I know this isn't 90s but and 80s, but 100% Fresh just I guess is a Netflix comedy thing that he did last year.
Yeah, all those guys did. Chris Rock and Dana Carvey and all those guys have been put out stuff on Netflix.
Now I'm gonna have to watch Netflix.
So let me just ask you this when we wrap it up. Are we being a bunch of trolls? Is that what this show is? All we're doing is crapping on everything. I stood up for MC Hammer. You called him a one-hit wonder. I said I actually respect the guy and his career and what he's become. We both agreed LL Cool J is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, we both agreed.
Although
on
you
that.
think the name LL Cool J is not that cool.
Well, LL Cool J is, but ladies love
Cool James.
Yeah, is not as much. I wish it was just it means something.
So now we crapped on Bill Murray. We crapped on MC Hammer. We
didn't crap. We've celebrated them. We said really good things about Bill Murray. You crapped on Bill Murray more than I did. I revere his older stuff.
Yeah, well, I redeemed myself in the next episode.
This is episode 4. We're still talking about Bill Murray. I think we can put it to rest. It's fine. Well, but the point is, we're not. Sorry, I'll calm it down. We're not shitting on everybody. Okay. Adam Sandler, the actor. We'll get into that later.
Yeah,
because that's a whole different conversation.
We're
just talking about Adam Sandler, the musician. Totally different.
Well, all right. Well, just so you know, we're eventually going to talk about things we like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Terminator 2, the classics, Ghostbusters. We'll get around to that. Definitely. Back to the Future. Cool stuff. But we're going to talk about stuff that's topical, like Adam Sandler's 1993 CD.
Because everybody is searching for that right now.